So Nintendo has seemingly one more announcement up their sleeves, and I'm expecting this one to be a strange one and probably just tied to the current family of systems at this point in time, because the week that made all the sense in the world for a Switch 2 announcement seems to have come and gone, and while you can never say anything for certain with Nintendo, there is the slightest chance we get some kind of direct confirmation of a release window or a first look window that Nintendo will reveal the console at their upcoming investor briefing on November 5th, but I'm really not expecting a trailer to drop at this point in time in 2024. However, you might have realized that the month of October was very strange when it came to their official first party announcements, because while we didn't get anything Switch 2 related, we saw Nintendo essentially announce everything except that. I mean, just to give a brief recap, we started off the month with an alarm clock hardware announcement from Nintendo for $100, and we knew Nintendo was cooking something with this strange device that was filed with the FCC with the 24 gigahertz millimeter wave sensor. Apparently that's to track your sleep movement at night, and that would really just be getting things started with their strange announcements, because we of course also saw them do 3 separate NSO drops, all for the expansion pack tier, like legitimately 2 games for the Game Boy Advance and 3 total games for the N64 in 3 separate rounds of updates, which is also strange, alongside of an ongoing playtest program, which Nintendo has never done in Nintendo Switch Online history, and it's for some kind of weird community builder MMO style game, which still just seems like, is this just Nintendo testing their servers, and is this game actually ever going to release as a finalized project? Like, it probably will. It's probably just going to be an extra perk thrown into the expansion pack tier, but you could make the case that the bigger reason for this test is so Nintendo can test their dedicated servers for bigger online experiences to come for their next gen hardware on the back end. Then we saw the very exciting game announcement of Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition, a missing Wii U port that's up there in the ranks with like Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. Like, that's how much people wanted to see this game come over to Switch this whole time. It was just sitting there as a perfect, it makes sense to bring it over. Nintendo, why are you not doing this for the Switch type of port? And they finally just announced that on a random morning. We also found out that is our March 2025 first party piece of software for the Nintendo Switch. And then we found out Nintendo has been secretly working on a music app in the background, and that's a part of the Nintendo Switch Online enhancements for this year as well, where if you're subscribed to NSO, the base tier or expansion pack tier, you have access to Nintendo's entire music library. And I shouldn't say entire, they're going to drip feed update this over the course of time with new games. It sounds like almost weekly, because there was already a game added in after the app initially went live with some Mario Bros. Wonder music, and then I'm seeing headlines that next week we're going to actually get more games added in already, so maybe it won't be near as slow of a drip as NSO games are, and hopefully within like a year or two you'll really have the majority of everything you want to listen to from a soundtrack perspective from Nintendo's music library. But those were a few of the very strange October announcements we saw Nintendo do. We are now in November, and one person who was leaking some of these announcements ahead of time, who has come back from deleting their Twitter account, the number one big red bird, who's now just a set of eyeball emojis and a blanked out profile icon. Pioro is indeed teasing something else, as he posted there is a little bit more to come from Nintendo, and he's confirmed that anything that's been announced past that Xenoblade Chronicles X tease, that was his eyeball emojis, were apparently looking at the X logo on Twitter, or what Twitter is now called, which is X, and that was the tease. Anyway, he also had an alarm clock posted on his profile, and that has now turned into a warped alarm clock. And again, he's confirmed that none of the things that Nintendo have announced since then have actually been what he's been teasing. So we have to unpack some theories online around what this could be, and also talk about some missing and potential projects that we could see announced soon, as we talk about the possibility of not knowing anything about Switch 2 hardware until into 2025, and really what that means for the rest of the Switch 1 landscape from a software perspective. So we'll get on the same page with everything. Before we do, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your bell notification to join Sunbro Nation if you're new here. And I want to first point out, as mentioned, that the alarm clock picture for Pioro's background is now basically a warped image, where if you just took like a warping effect in an easy like photo editor, you could essentially make it insinuate that it's somehow warping time, or I've seen theories tied to waves around this. But first, to try to speculate on what this could be, to add some context, as Pioro does like to do, they sometimes heart a reply that did get a guess right from an individual. And you can see this post over on our Gaming Leaks and Rumors, which says El Kitsu posts an image of Pioro liking his tweet, implying a port/revival of an old Nintendo IP is coming. and you can then see the heart from Pioro where it says, okay, not the Switch 2, so this is likely another port or a new release of an IP we haven't seen in ages. And a common guess I am seeing online in terms of like an old forgotten IP, it's not Star Fox, Kid Icarus, or anything else that you would actually want to see. I'm seeing two different guesses, but now with this warped alarm clock, it does seem like Time Twist is a old Japan only IP that was released for the Famicom disk system, and it could be that just due to the fact of this alarm clock with, of course, the time warping going on. Time Twist does seem to be one of those good solid guesses that could indeed fit the build, and it's probably another one of those things where it's like, what is Nintendo doing with this? But this could be a smaller piece of software. And again, Piora was teasing like there's a little bit more from Nintendo, and they've known about some very small projects that have been in-house in the past since all of the issues with their source has gone down over time, and Nintendo kind of plugging the big announcements behind the scenes a lot of times, where essentially it was revealed that Piora was getting their sources from the back-end eShop, where Nintendo builds out a pre-order page before they announce a game, and they were able to gain access to that information. And this could be in line with an announcement of that size, so it's very real possibility. I've seen some other people tie the warping of the clock to like waves, and they're thinking this is a wave race type of tease, and that's not something I'm expecting to see. There's a ton of different rumors going on with ports like Kid Icarus, Uprising, and Sakurai confirming that he's developed something new, or that he's been developing something for a couple years, and I'm just guessing it's the start of the next Smash Bros game, but it could be a curveball, and Sakurai could be working on a passion project, maybe a Kid Icarus fresh, brand new from the ground up entry. And he's also been spotted teasing multiple times in his videos and posts online that he would like to see a Kid Icarus Uprising remaster or some way to play it on the Switch. And I don't think it's tied to what Pioro's teasing, but that is another game that Nintendo could be in the pipeline behind the scenes, as we're talking about plenty of ports and remasters to essentially fill out Nintendo's release schedule while they're working on the transition to their next gen hardware. And of course, there are ongoing rumors of an F-Zero GX remaster, and F-Zero has been seeing a ton of love lately from Nintendo, literally more this year than ever before. The entire series is playable on Nintendo Switch other than GX, so that is literally the missing game, and I would love to have something come back from F-Zero. And then you just talk about forgotten IP, and you know, Star Fox immediately comes to mind, where I think whatever Star Fox would have come over would probably be saved for the next gen console at this point. But if it's something simple like a Star Fox Zero port from the Wii U era, or Star Fox Assault from back in the GameCube, we have those PH Brazil rumors that a Wii game and 3DS era game are in the pipeline for coming over. So the idea is that Nintendo may not be done making their brand new announcements for this year, and I would actually expect to see whatever this mystery project that Pioro is teasing go live very, very soon, because they are not known for leaking things out far in advance from when Nintendo does finally pull the trigger and do the reveal, but rather very close to when that happens. So we have seen Nintendo announce certain things on a Sunday at this point, like they announced that a Nintendo Museum Direct would be taking place on a Monday, but we saw that announcement on Sunday. It's possible that Sunday has some kind of announcement for us, and then maybe a first look at the game goes up that day. Maybe it's the Monday morning announcement, and then we just get more questions asked from the investors around their next gen platform plans, and also some questions around these most recent game releases and their software roadmap for the current Switch. Like, all of this is on the table. I don't think Nintendo is going to be radio silent when it comes to Nintendo announcements, but I do think November will definitely be lighter with announcements than what we saw them do in October, where we saw no historical September Direct, and then we just saw Nintendo kind of announce everything else other than that Xenoblade Chronicles X first party game that definitely belonged in a Direct. Like, everything else was really kind of their miscellaneous product announcements that they just seem to get out of the way in the month of October. So who knows exactly what the plan is with Nintendo? They're very hard to predict, but it does appear something else will be announced soon. Let me know in the comments down below what you hope, if anything, it would be, and were any of the games mentioned as possibilities something that would get you excited? Have you given up all hope on Team 2024 for a Switch 2 reveal, or do you think there's still a chance we see it between now and the investors briefing, or maybe even after the investors briefing if that's your prediction? So make sure you share all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below before you leave, regardless if we agree or disagree. Also, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell. And with that, I've been Sunbro, you've been Nation. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.